All right. Welcome to the latest episode of Measure of a Movie. This week was my chance to pick a movie that there's not a lot of movies that I think I've seen that maybe you haven't seen. So I decided you've not seen Josie and the Pussycats, and that's one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's necessarily a good movie. I just love the movie so much.
Mm-hmm.
So you've now seen Josie and the Pussycats.
I have.
Why don't you tell me what you think of it?
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But not for the reasons you're probably going to guess.
Okay.
So I did make some notes because you made such thorough notes last time.
I did make some notes as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff is just me quoting stuff that I think is funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so before we start,
Mm-hmm.
I want to start up the Megasound 8000 here. Like, share, and subscribe. Lance and Nick's podcast is cool. All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
okay.
All right.
No one noticed.
All right, so the very first thing, right out the gate, this movie was so up its own ass, it's not funny. And when I say that, it was like, I've never watched a movie that was so self-aware.
Yes.
And I think that's what really surprised me because it was irritating me at the beginning of the movie, all the product placement.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, okay.
Well, it's the first time you watch it, you're like, man, they really did all this product placement.
Like, the movie had to have paid for itself 5 times over just for whatever money they got from product placement.
Zero. They didn't. That's not product placement. They put it there because they're up there on their because they're making jokes about it.
Okay.
They are putting all that product, like you go into the plant the de jour's playing, and it's got Target all across the
Yeah,
wall.
and there's shelves that have like Tide sitting on it
and drinking Coke. Like they didn't get paid for any of that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, that's there as the joke.
See, okay, that surprised me because it was like, okay, the movie had a budget of blah.
Yes.
The product placement probably brought in this much movie. So before the movie's even released, it's already made $100 million just for product placement alone. It was crazy. And it was really kind of irritating me. And then you get to the turn of the movie, and then you're kind of like, okay, that's clever.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I liked most about the movie is it's just kind of like, it kind of pulls you in a little bit and says, this movie's silly.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, this is extremely silly. And then they do the next turn to reveal, okay, it's about subliminal messaging and making you buy shit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, that's kind of clever.
Yes. Which is because the movie's about kind of the subliminal messaging in popular culture, which is why they put the not so subliminal advertising in pretty much every frame. They not necessarily every frame, but kind of like
it was damn near every frame. Like I honestly, like when I got to about the halfway mark of the movie, I thought about going back and writing down every piece of product placement. But honestly,
who has the time?
Right. I was about to say this thing would be a 4-hour podcast and me just going Tide, Coke, Boost Mobile. Like it would have been ridiculous. But so here's my notes.
Yes.
Do you want me to go ahead and give you the rating right off the top, or do you want me to save that for the end?
I don't know. Should we save it for the end? Keep people watching?
Sure. Or they're just gonna, that's YouTube. They're just gonna be like, bloop.
What do they think of it? I've already said it's one of my favorite movies, so they know what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So, okay. So, de jour.
Yes.
It means love. De jour means peace. De jour means together. Like, I love that de jour meant everything.
Do you know what de jour means?
No, I mean, I think it's like...
It's of the day. The soup de jour.
Oh.
So they're the popular band because they are of the day, hence why they replace so quickly and easily.
Okay, that's funny.
Yes.
All right. So I just thought that they were like de jour means family, and like
it's one of those references where it means nothing, and it actually means of the day because they are just whatever popular band is currently in vogue.
That's even okay. The next thing I wrote down, just because there were a little bit of nitpicks. I just wanted to write down a few of my nitpicks. So the rocket parachutes. So when Alan Cummings' character finds out that they're becoming aware of the background track, and he goes up to the pilot and he's like, drive the Chevy to the levee, and they put on the parachutes and bail, and then there's like minutes of like the plane flying as they're fighting each other, and the next scene is them hitting the ground and like the plane going down behind the trees right behind him, and it's like, I was thinking, if you jumped out and the plane's still going, it's like, like they had to have ripped those chutes like last second. Just a nitpick.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny.
Do you know why the Chevy to the Levy line is funny? Because the band that did that song died in a plane crash.
I did not know that. Okay. All right.
So I don't remember the name of the band, but I remember hearing that little bit of trivia.
Chevy to the Levy was dry. I am usually pretty good at this stuff, but right now I cannot summon it.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but I remember reading that the band that did it died in a plane crash, which is why they used that line in particular.
Are you sure? Because if you're giving false information, they're going to eat us alive in the comments.
That's what I heard. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me.
We'll check that later. The biggest laugh I got from the movie is Tara Reid's character at the beginning where she's holding the sign, honk if you love Pussycats. But like Cats was blocked out.
Yeah.
And it said honk if you love pussy, and that dude like slams his brakes and like the other cars are hitting and he's just staring at her, and then she drops the sign and runs off.
Yeah.
I was watching this after work, and I was sitting at my computer. I'd clocked out and was watching it, and one of the techs walked through, and I just started laughing my ass off. He's like, "What are you watching over there?" And then he saw what I was watching. He's like, "Oh," and then just kind of walked off. But like, I think that's the biggest laugh Tara Reid's ever gotten out of me, and probably will ever get out of me.
Yeah, probably. I'm not generally a fan of Tara Reid, just because I've not really seen much of the stuff that she's in, like that Alone in the Dark, American Pie,
Sharknado.
Yeah. I was getting to Shark. I did not forget Sharknado.
I've never seen Sharknado.
Me neither.
Yeah. I've never really felt like I had to. I've had plenty of friends that have told me about it, and I feel like I've seen it through them recanting the movie. So yeah, maybe that's one that if we really hate each other, we'll be like, "Hey, Lance and Nick, have you seen blah?"
Yeah.
So
maybe.
But I thought that was hilarious. And I think the reason I liked it is that's kind of a dirty joke, but at the same time, it's kind of an innocent joke.
Yeah.
You're watching a movie, Josie and the Pussycats, which is basically the Archie universe, which is about as gee golly American apple pie and like, you know, innocence that you could get back in the day.
Back in the day at least.
And like they already kind of let you know 5 minutes out of the movie that it's going to have probably some pretty adult left hooks, which I thought was just fun.
Yeah.
Alan M.
Yes.
Sexiest guy in Riverdale. Does Archie know that shit? Like, I thought the whole thing about Riverdale was Archie was supposed to be, like, the pinnacle.
I don't really know.
And, like, does this movie take place in the Archie universe?
They're at least in Riverdale, and I don't think that they ever made the connection. I don't even know if they ever planned to make the connection to Archie, but they're in Riverdale, and it's at least referenced a little bit in kind of the in the fourth wall break where I don't remember the one character's name.
The chick where she goes,
like,
he's like, "Why are you even here?" And she's like, "I was in the comic."
Comics, yeah.
Yeah, that was another part that really made me laugh hard because I was just kind of like, "Okay, that's clever." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like I like that. But like I also knew, and I wrote it down a little further when Alan Cumming looked at the camera when he's like, "I have to find a band." And then, like, he does the whole thing where he holds the blank CD up and sees them, and then he looks at the camera and smiles. Like, that fourth wall break, I was just kind of like, okay, this movie's probably going to be a little off the rails.
Yeah, well, it's just they're taking down the de jour banners, and they're kind of doing the number one band just as they're walking across this thing with the instruments, and, like, the lights are going off, and he's kind of like, oh, yeah, here we go, found a band.
Yeah, like it was Kismet, you know, that whole part. But I got a good laugh off that part, too. Then I wrote down product placement galore. Now, keep in mind that this happened between when they were introducing the people in the beginning of the movie and between when they kidnapped the girl in the van. And, like...
Which I think is also funny.
That part was fucking hilarious. Like, as fast as they took off, that van had to have padding in the back of it. Because, like, it pulled up, the door opens, they shove her in, and they just bolt. And it's like inertia would have thrown them out the back doors as fast as that damn thing pulled off. And you watch Alan Cumming's character, and he doesn't speed up. I thought it might have been a camera trick. Maybe it was a camera trick in the background where they make it speed off fast. But, like, the stunt people in the back of that van...
Have to hit their heads or something?
Yeah. Like, you see when they pull her in, they bounce on the inside, so they hit some kind of padding there. But, like, when they take off, I expected to see someone fly out the back of that van. Because, like, that thing fucking dipped. But yeah,
I just like in that scene of like the van pulls up and she's turned around talking to him like there's not a van suddenly stopping up behind him. Like, well, tell me about it. And just snatch her and go.
Yeah, that part was hilarious. Let's see.
Product placement galore. Which at this point, which is you're watching the movie for the first time and you just see like, man, they really made their money, and it just seems like, oh man, it's just not. They weren't even trying to hide it, and it's not until later in the movie that you realize that, like, yeah, they weren't trying.
It was ridiculous. Oh, so
and I think that might put some people off to the movie, like on initial watches when you like don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, I mean, when I watched it initially, when they were riding in the thing and there's Target everywhere and like the Tide sitting on a shelf right behind their head. Like all the product placement, like they squeezed it into everything. And it was a little unsettling to me at first because I'm just like, okay, this is a bit much.
Yes.
And then when they did the turn, I was like, okay, are they trying to hypnotize me? I mean, who exactly are they selling to at this point? Because the band doesn't really seem to be hypnotized.
Yeah.
So okay, that's fine, but it's the inside joke.
Yes.
Okay. But I mean, once you're along for the ride, you figured they'd scale it back, and that was not the case.
No.
They just kept it up, and that was fine. It didn't really throw me. Then I wrote the van kidnapping.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. As fast as they threw her in there and took off. I'm here because of the comic book. I thought that was one of the funniest lines in the second funniest line in that entire movie. Because that girl is so unlikable in that movie.
Yeah.
I was looking for her to be that one where it's like you don't like her the entire movie, and then she's like the one that saves everything at the end.
No.
And then when she does I don't even know why you're here. She's like, because I was in the comic book. I was like, there's justification right there.
Yeah.
She's not going to do anything. She's not going to bring anything to this movie. She's just there because she was in the book.
And she just kind of threw in the occasional joke or whatever. Kind of like, oh my God, that's Mr. Movie Phone. You slept with him.
It just, she didn't really bring anything like, that was a funny line.
Yeah, well,
but to me, it was,
there's a couple of jokes. And that's about it.
But to me, they could have like left her out of it. Like even the manager, they could have left him out of it too.
But again, I think they're just there to kind of have the little cutaway because they're in the comic book. I assume. I've never seen the comic book. I've never seen the cartoon. This was just a movie that a friend showed me, and I'm like, you know what, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I guess the thing with me was like, how much do you want to research something? So, like, I watched it on Wednesday. And it was kind of like, okay, I know Nick's coming over on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I watched the movie, and it was kind of like, I could watch it again. I don't really want to, though, but it was funny, and I would watch it again, just not back-to-back like that.
Yeah.
Then it was kind of like, okay, I can actually go on IMDb and, like, go through Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were much in the comic book. I think it was like, when Archie started doing like cartoons and stuff like that, I think Josie and the Pussycats were there as like padding to characters that show up in the book, so you have more content to write on. But I think they were like in the show just so like they get songs and music out.
I seem to remember them having a cartoon of their own, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Like it's like I think the whole Josie and the Pussycats song they sang in the beginning of it is like basically almost that same.
It was a title song or something like that. I think so too.
I skipped over one thing du jour was Donald Faison.
Yep.
Seth Green. And Breckenmeyer.
Yes.
And I don't know who the fuck that last guy is.
I don't know who he was either, and I've not seen him in stuff since. Because like even like when I first watched the movie, I didn't know who Breckenmeyer was. It was only through later kind of going through that kind of pop culture Seth Green sort of side of it that you end up picking up.
Surely you've seen Garfield.
No.
Pretty sure he was. Hey Nick, have you seen Garfield? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you.
So you'd have to. I'd make you sit and watch it first.
Well, podcast over.
But he was in that. It's not the She's All That. It's the and like the one that they're spoofing for Not Another Teen Movie. that had Seth Green and like Breckenmeyer and Donald Faison in it.
Oh, is that Idle Hands?
No, it was like some movie where they went to a party, and like the kid wanted to get like a note to like the girl he'd been crushing on, and like high school's almost over, time for one last crazy party.
Oh, we have Peanut Gallery that's signaling in. No, please. What is it?
It's a riff on She's All That, isn't it?
It is a riff on She's All That.
So what's the movie called?
I just remember She's All That.
It's whatever one that they're making fun of. She's all that. I think that's but they're all in it.
Teen movie.
Well, it's the real version of it.
Not another teen movie had
not the fake movie.
Not another teen movie had that Chris Evans in it as the jock.
It did.
So was like Breckenmeyer supposed to be like the Ducky character, the one that likes her but doesn't get with her because she's all into the jock?
Well, She's All That was the one.
We're not cutting any of this, by the way. This all stays in.
You're gonna make me look up what movie he would. I don't remember the name of the movie because I watched it like recently. I guess like April or whatever.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking it up,
a few months ago.
While you're looking it up, I can.
Yeah, go to your next point.
Keep the people entertained. So, all right. Eugene Levy.
Mm-hmm.
I love that he was in this flick.
Yeah, just to be there for you, just to be Eugene Levy real quick.
Yeah.
And for them to walk up and be like, "I told you, no, whatever it was, no latte."
Yeah, and smacked it out of her hand. Like, yeah, it was just it's easy that this was just the most self-aware movie I've ever seen in my life. Like that, it's kind of hard to hate it for what it was because that's exactly what it was portraying itself to be. So, it's like you have that boyfriend that you know's a dick and you hate him, but you love him for those reasons, kind of a thing. So it was a different kind of viewing experience for me. The main actress, was it Rachel Lee Cook? Rachel Lee Cook. Super cute.
Yeah.
And very, very funny. Mm-hmm. You could have gotten me to watch this movie on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you could have gotten me to watch this movie after you walked out of the house when you dropped the DVD in my hand.
Yes.
If you would have told me it had Rosario Dawson in it.
I did.
Okay. I don't remember you saying that. I love me some Rosario Dawson, and she was amazing in the movie.
Well, I gave you the list of like Rachel Lee Cook, Rosario Dawson, and Tara Reid as like the mains, Alan Cumming and Parker Posey as kind of like sides.
So I love
and then I put up Seth Green, Donald Faison.
Is it possible you said Rachel Lee Cook and then Tara Reid, and then my brain
I might have
vomited, and then I didn't hear anything after that?
It might have. That's entirely plausible.
Okay. Again, I think Tara Reid's fine. She's just fine.
So you're saying Parker Posey?
Yeah, I love Parker Posey. Mm-hmm. She's one of those actresses that you don't see her like she doesn't push herself out there in like every single thing. You don't see her in 3 movies a year kind of a person. Mm-hmm. But I thought her, I can't remember her name in the movie.
Fiona? Yeah, I think so.
She was awesome.
Yes.
I think one of the funniest gags was when the guy was like, "So we're gonna do this thing," and she's like, "Yes," and she's like, "I'll get you too," and the guy's like, "What?" And then she does that spin because she's wearing that whatever the hell that is on her neck. It's like, wow.
And then make the little
with
the little whip noises every time she turns around.
Yeah, I thought that part was hilarious.
It's like, ooh, that was close. What was that?
Yeah, it was.
It was almost a close moment between us.
Yeah, like I thought that part had me laughing pretty hard. The Mega Sound 8000, I thought was, this is why the movie's up its own behind kind of a thing. On the background on I think it was on one of the magazines, it said Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, and Lucy Liu to play the Pussycats in the movie.
Oh, nice.
And I laughed at that. I was kind of like, this would have been a completely different movie. It would have probably been more like a Charlie's Angels kind of movie. But that made me laugh at that lineup. Because it makes me wonder, like, who do you think Drew Barrymore would have been? Tara Reid's character? Because she's kind of fun.
I think Cameron Diaz would have been Josie. Lucy Liu would have been Val. And then
Drew Barrymore
would have been Mel.
Okay. I'm going to assume that means that Mel is the drummer.
Yeah, Melody.
And Val is the bassist.
And Valerie is the bassist.
Okay. Okay. I didn't catch their name.
Yeah.
I just know Josie.
I'm bad at names usually. I've seen this movie 3 or 4 times this year.
Okay.
It's just because I've showed it to a couple other people too. Just it's like we've been inside.
Yeah, God, have we? Some of the trash that I've watched.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be upset with you at first for making me watch this movie. But I mean, really and truly, it was fun. Like, I had a lot of fun with it. Let's see. I wrote down The Whirling Nose with Parker Posey. I thought that the Carson Daly and Aries Spears appearance for the MTV, was it Behind the Music?
Total Request Dead.
Total Request Dead. I thought that was hilarious. Aries Spear doing like all the impressions.
Yeah.
That had me laughing pretty hard. And then the Matt Damon cameo.
As the standee.
Yeah, it's just one of the little things that's sitting there. I thought that was funny, and I actually went as far as to like check into some of the other people who were the standees.
Oh, I didn't. I've never really.
Because it had, I saw Matt Damon. It had Johnny Depp.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some other there was just one random guy that I could not place, and I was just kind of like, "Is that the dude from like Facebook or something like that?" But no, it wasn't. It wasn't anything like that. So I actually did a little bit of research to try and figure out who that dude was, but apparently the internet doesn't know either, or I just didn't look hard enough.
Maybe it's just one of the producers or something.
I don't know. And then the last note I wrote, because I felt like I had a lot at this point, is when the Megasound 8000 takes over Josie's mind.
Yes.
And she basically tells Tara Reid's characters, puppies turn into dogs, and dogs die.
And dogs grow old, and then they die.
Yeah, I mean, the way she was like, no! And like ran out of the frame. I thought that was hilarious. I never thought I'd say this, but I think my favorite character in the entire movie was Tara Reid. Like, I really loved her character.
All right.
I just thought she's adorable.
Yeah.
Like, and she's got that voice that just makes her that squeaky.
It kind of fits for the character.
Yeah.
It's like when she's singing in the shower and comes out, it says like "you're next" or something like that. So she puts a heart over the eye.
Yeah, and then and then draws a little happy face.
Yeah.
I loved her character, just as innocent and cute as she was. I like Josie because she was funny, and Rachel Lee Cook, she's just really, really not hard on the eyes. I don't think Rosario Dawson can do any wrong. I actually sat down and started trying to think of like movies I did not like her in, and there was not. Can you name one movie you didn't like her in?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Like, I wanted to not like her in. What was the one with? It was like the cell shaded one.
No, I've not. Oh, Sin City.
Sin City.
Okay. I don't remember her in that. I barely remember that movie.
Yeah, she was like the leader of the I guess prostitute warrior chicks.
Okay.
That took over the little area town, and like I didn't want to like her in that movie, but I actually loved her in that movie. I just didn't like a lot of the movie was just fine. Like I liked Sin City; it was a good movie, but it's like my entire I liked Marv, but we're not talking about Sin City.
Yeah.
So
maybe Rent. Rent has Rosario Dawson in it, and it's just I don't like any of the characters in Rent, and it's not Rosario Dawson's fault. It's the way they wrote the character in that movie.
Everyone has. Sorry. I'm going to go to the peanut gallery one more time because there's someone in the room that is not on camera that knows more about this than us. My love. Rosario Dawson in Rent. Was she singing her own music?
Yes.
So that was her voice singing?
Yeah, she sang for Mimi.
Okay. That's just another reason to love her because I like that song. I want to go out tonight.
Oh, yeah. I like several of the songs in Rent. I don't like, but maybe one or two of the characters in Rent. But again, we're not talking about Rent.
Yes. Well, the best. We're not talking about Rent. Okay. Just gotta rein it in. Just bring it on in. Okay. But that's pretty much all the notes that I wrote on the movie itself. I wrote down some of the people. Missy Pyle, same actress that was in Galaxy Quest. that hooked up with
Oh, is that who the
yeah,
okay.
she's the squid girl that like basically showed up on the Further Adventures of Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Because I knew I recognized her, but I did not know her name when I looked at it. But when I was looking at her face, I'm like, I'm pretty sure
I don't think
that's the Thermian that hooks up with Fred's character.
I don't think I would have known that.
Yeah, like there were a lot of Thermians that like
Oh really?
yeah. So there's a movie called Basketball. There's an actor, I don't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he plays Squeak in the movie. He's one of the Thermians. Rainn Wilson is one of the Thermians from The Office. I thought that was funny when I spotted him.
Yeah.
And then I think there's like one or two other little people in that movie that have made it as big actors, but I cannot name them off the top of my head right now. But I did spot her, and I was like, I'm fairly certain that's the squid from Galaxy Quest. And then when I looked it up, I was like, sure enough, her name's Missy Pyle, so she does have a name, and not just awkward squid smiling face.
And it's kind of like your brain can only hold so many names before you just start. It's like, I know the face, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where like I go to work, and I run into people that I've worked with for 10 years, and they're like, "Hey, Lance," and I'm like, "Hey, you."
How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, and it's terrible. It's a terrible way to be, but it's like, who has the data plan?
I guess like charismatic people and intelligent people.
If that's all you want to do is remember names. Ugh. Jeez.
Put in the effort to, please your fellow man.
I get it, but it's like, there's so much more I could do for you, and there's so much more I can actually bring to the table. Just don't make remembering your name one of them, because there's just too much. The other thing I wrote down was the guy who played her brother.
Yeah.
He was a character, Ruben, in the movie Road Trip, because it was another thing. So Road Trip's the one with Tom Green.
Okay.
Where like they're going to get a videotape, a porn that supposedly he had made with his girlfriend, but it had gotten recorded over with someone that apparently he was cheating with, and they were going to try and go get it back because they put it in the mail. It was one of those.
Okay.
But I recognized the actor as Ruben in that movie, which that was I guess the other thing I was trying to do while I was watching it was kind of like pick out what other notable things that I've seen that these people have been in, because at first like the brother and sister, I could not figure out who those people were, but they had the face that was bothering me.
Yeah.
So but I just wanted to add it on there. But if I was to rate this movie, I would give it, let's see, 5 is the middle.
Yeah, 5. Like if we rate it from 0 to 10, that way we have 5 numbers on the left, 5 numbers on the right, and then 5 right in the middle.
Okay. I would say I'd give it a strong 6.
Oh, okay.
Like it was the gag of being in on the joke kind of gets old after a while, because they're like it would have been one thing if it was like you were seeing all this product placement in the beginning of it, and then you get to that midpoint where they're like they do the turn and they're like, this is why, orange is the new black and all that stuff like that. If they would have eased back the product placement at that point, it probably would have been more enjoyable for me. But it's like every scene background was like fucking Boost Mobile, and like it got to the point where I was just like, okay, I get it.
So that stuff kind of blends away from me just because of you're so used to it in real life, not necessarily to that degree, but just the walking by billboards and never glancing once at the billboard because it's an advertisement, so you just don't care. So it doesn't enter my brain, essentially.
I get that, but it's like it got to the point where I guess my mind locked onto it so fast in the beginning of it that's like I was suddenly looking for it at that point, because it even got to the point where like Josie's running away with mysterious guy that I don't think was ever in the comic book that's her boyfriend, and they go
Alan M.
Yeah, Alan M. And they go to that little side room so they can try and sneak that kiss, and there's that water tank
with the Evian water in the back.
Yeah, and it's like the Evian things. Like even there,
I think that one's funny.
So that one was just it got to the point where I was trying to find the scenes that didn't have shit in the background, just so I can be like, get a break, And it seemed like the only time that happened was when you were at her house.
Yeah.
And even then,
and I think like just them in the bowling alley and stuff like that. When they are being their own people, there's not really a whole lot of advertising. But when there's kind of anything to do with the advertising or with the record label, that's when it all starts getting fed into your eyes.
I honestly don't remember at that point like that stuff, but it just seemed like I was just getting. It's when I watch YouTube,
yes,
and the commercials come on, it's gotten to the point where I'm like, there's a fucking thing I'm never gonna buy, just because I'm tired of being sold. Just I want to buy the shit I want to buy.
Yeah.
If you make a good product, I'm gonna know about it and I'll go out and buy it. But just stop shoving it down my throat.
I mean, you don't want like a NordVPN or Raid Shadow Legends?
I have NordVPN.
Oh, the ad worked. Gotcha.
Well, it was just so the fact that I can watch Netflix in like Europe and all this other stuff like that. Like,
let's look, that advertising works.
It gave me 5 months for free. So you know what? Yeah, I suppose it did. But no, it's just the movie was clever. I liked how self-aware it was. I loved the fourth wall breaks. I thought those were well timed. Parker Posey's character was just adorable in the movie. I loved the gross out off at the end between her and Alan Cumming's character. I thought that was funny.
Between White Ass Wally and Lisping Letha?
Yeah. Like, I thought that was just, he had no hair, no teeth, like, he released the gut, you know, like, all that was just...
I'm not even British, I just talk that way to sound cool.
Yeah, like, it was just, all of it was just great. One of the things that got me about it was, if your mind control device is so powerful, like, why don't they just do that with the bands from The Rip? Like, they had the whole thing where it was like, okay, well, we control you. You're going to go out and you're going to sing your song, or we're going to kill your buddies. Why not just, put it on...
Start there?
Well, I mean, just, like, as soon as they're like, we're going to make you a star. Like, we're not even going to pay you at this point. We're just going to, like, wipe your minds like Daft Punk and then basically, like, send you around. Like in Interstellar 5555. Like, we're just going to move you everywhere and you're just going to play music and you're just drones because you're hypnotized. Because it seemed like they could do everything with that thing. Like, apparently Movie Phone Guy can sell the shit out of some product.
Yeah.
I didn't write it down, but one of the other biggest laughs I got was when the guy that was like, the white guy that was like in on the whole taking over the world plan at the end when they had to go in and arrest Parker Posey.
Oh, the U.S. agent or whatever he was.
Yeah, and he's like, sorry, someone has to take the fall, and
we were gonna shut you down anyway.
We were gonna shut you down anyways in a couple of months. And he's like,
it turns out advertising's actually in movies.
Yeah.
Josie, the Pussycats, the best movie ever.
Yeah, and then they even paused to do the so it could happen, and it was clipped like you would hear in like a commercial on the radio. I just thought that was great. But yeah, the movie was highly enjoyable. It had a lot of great cast members. I love Donald Faison. I love Rosario Dawson. Love Seth Green. Like, I even like Breckin Meyer. Like, it just it had a lot of star power, which was surprising.
Although, speaking of Breckin Meyer, Can't Hardly Wait is the name of the movie that I was thinking of. That came out in like 98, and if you watch it, it's super 90s and very kind of cliche at this point in time for kind of that 90s movie.
So it's not like not another teen movie, right?
It's a real movie that those movies end up spoofing.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. I think that's...
you could skip that one, unless you just want to watch all the 90s stereotypes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
It's fairly early on in his career, but still just not.
Sorry, Brecken. We were getting back around to you. We didn't forget.
I had it up on my device here.
Yeah, but give me a call. Let's go do some lunch soon. He watches the show.
Yeah. Man, I wrote down a few things myself. Most of them are just I wanted to write some stuff down, and it was just me writing down jokes.
Sure.
But like the only like I liked some of the music, and I think some of the music was good. Like Backdoor Lover, I think is just funny.
I didn't have a problem with any of the music in the movie. Like, it sounded exactly like what they were trying to advertise. Like, it sounded like homogenized boy band music.
Well, did you listen to some of the lyrics of their opening song they were singing about Backdoor Lover?
I'm pretty sure it was all about anal sex
and
stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know if I caught it at that time, but it's everything about...
Come around to my secret spot.
Yeah. Everything on that movie was just so on the nose that does not surprise me.
Yeah.
But no, I must have missed that.
I wrote down Take the Chevy to the Levee. I wrote down Alan M is boring just because I think he's boring. He's like the part of the movie. I don't know, but like you can get rid of that.
Yeah, I don't. Did they need the love interest in the movie?
I don't think so. I think it could have just been a movie about friendship, and you don't need the potential love interest in there at all.
Right. What else you got?
So early on, when the manager like steps on Alexandra's foot to like shut her up, like the very first several times I'd watched the movie, he does like a movement with his hand, like when he steps on her foot, and I always thought he like hit her in the crotch. And I'm like, oh no, wait, he's stepping on her foot because you hear the stomp of the shoe.
Okay.
It just he happens to do it in time with his hand going in that general direction. So I'm like, I always thought like, man, that's pretty rude.
Old nut tap.
Yeah. The day that DeJour went missing, they already had a commemorative box set ready to sell. Be like, oh,
I did notice that.
DeJour went missing. Buy their commemorative box set. Like they have that stuff ready.
And because they were hypnotized, it's not like you would question it at that point. It just be like,
it's just the people have it like the bands go away so quickly. Like they've just got that stuff in the pipeline. I noticed watching this time that there's like 3 or 4 music montages. I think just to kind of play some music, but a lot of it's like here's them getting made up montage. Here's the Josie walking around sad montage. Here's the them being popular running away montage. You cut some of those. But.
Them getting made up. I actually like that because then they're like playing with the kittens at one point. And...
It's I think a vehicle to play the music. So, but then I was just like, man, this is like the 3rd montage. This is getting getting kind of out there. And I just wrote down Operation Big Concert. Like that's the name of the. You did it, Operation Big Concert. Like why bother naming stuff?
I did not pick that out.
So I just think it's funny. Like whenever they're talking about Fiona's talking about like, oh, they're gonna mess up Operation Big Concert. I'm like, that's so silly. I wrote down just Fiona's outfits because she had a lot like the one during the party where it was like Motorola, but it was all like patchworked as a dress, and I'm like, that dress is ridiculous but funny.
I don't think I caught that either.
She had a dress just made out of like Motorola like patches and just all sewn together.
Oh, okay. I do. Is that the one that had the sash or whatever?
I think I don't remember. It was like welcome to your party, like that scene.
Right. Oh, and I just want to interject this real quick before we go any further. Don McLean was the person who sang American Pie.
Oh.
So just so you know.
Did he die in a plane crash?
I did not get that far.
Okay.
But hey Google, did Don McLean die in an airplane crash?
I don't understand.
She doesn't understand.
It's okay.
That is so Google.
Well, for people watching YouTube, now you're talking directly to their Google if they have it.
Hey Google, subscribe, like, and share Lance and Nick's music videos.
I don't understand.
She doesn't understand, so yours isn't going to either.
That's good.
And just in case, hey Siri. No, okay, sorry.
I got that.
I did not expect that. Okay, that works.
All right. So I also wrote down Big O just for. It's like I've had a sudden chill run up my spine.
Anime?
No, she's sitting leaning against the ice sculpture of Fiona.
Oh,
and she sits back
yeah.
against it, and she's like, I felt a chill go up my spine when you said her name. She's
You're
like,
leaning against the O.
Oh.
Oh, but also, guys, really?
No, she stands up, but no, seriously, it's still there. I wrote down that's all in the message for when Alan Cummings' character is trying to like write off Alan M. And she's like, "Oh, Alan M. He called earlier and left a message at the front, and he's not going to be there." And then she does it again. She's like, "That's all in the message." It's like, "Yes." I also wrote down puppies turn into dogs who grow old and die. No one's good. I also liked Aries Spears. Like, of course I'm Carson. Check the nails.
I don't think I caught that one.
It was just like when you're like, you're not Carson Daly. Of course I'm Carson Daly. Check the nails. And then when Carson comes out, he's like, "Did you do the nail thing again?" It's just stupid, and I think it's funny.
I thought his impressions were just funny.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one he didn't nail, but like he nailed Eddie Murphy, and he nailed.
I think he used to be on like Mad TV.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like I can't remember which one. He did the Bill Cosby. I thought it was hilarious, and everyone always does the Bill Cosby. Go with the pudding, pop, and it's just he nailed it.
Yeah. Near the end of the movie, when Josie says, "I'm a trend pimp," well, it stops here. I'm no one's pimp.
Okay.
I just think that's funny.
And when she slammed the thing, and everyone's like,
Yeah, I'm no one's pimp. And then at the end, when they had the footage pre-pulled up for what happens to Val and Mel if Josie doesn't put on the concert, and in the news broadcast, she says the two died a fiery death in the four-wheeled hell pit. Like, that would be on the news, of course.
Okay.
I just think that's funny. Just that the broadcast explains how awfully they died just to get Josie to go do the concert.
All right. That little extra goading.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's really all I wrote down for it. Because, I mean, for me, this movie's a 10, just because I come back to it so often. And there's flaws in the movie. I can give things high ratings and still know that, like, hey, it's not a perfect movie, because if you hold out 10s for only perfect movies, no movie's ever a 10.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite movies in the world. I know for a fact. My wife did not like it. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure you would not like it if you watched it. But, like, The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I watched it this year. I saw it was up on Netflix. I'm like, you know what? Lance loves this movie. Let me watch it.
And you know what? We'll talk about that another time. But it's gotten also to the point. I just want to preface this that when people ask me what my favorite movie is, that to me is a very loaded question.
Yes,
because there are so many genres. It's like you can't. Like, if you ask me what's your favorite comedy movie?
it might be this one.
Josie?
It's just because, like, you think of, like, what do you want out of, like, you're right, what do you want out of, like, a horror movie is different than what you want out of a comedy movie.
Exactly.
And when you're watching, like, an action movie, you're probably more likely to ignore stupid plot holes than if you're watching, like, a drama or something like that.
Right. Plus, if, like, the hook of the movie, like, grabs you immediately, you know, it doesn't matter about, like, some of the plot holes and everything like that. You forgive it for, like, good storytelling.
Yeah, I think if you have, depending on what you're doing, I mean, for comedy, you want jokes. If a comedy has a great storyline, but you never laugh, maybe it's an okay movie, but it's probably not a good comedy.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. But I'm just curious. What did you like Big Lebowski?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay, I love the Coen. I love the Coen brothers. No, they've got a bunch of movies that I don't like. And there's one movie that everyone fucking loves, and I cannot figure out why. And I'm not going to talk about that now. But anyways, but yeah, all in all, I thought the movie was great. I'm glad that I watched it. I'm glad that you suggested it.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it, even if a little bit.
It's once you get past that uncomfortable point of not understanding why this device narrative is happening, and then once you're in on the joke,
yeah,
it's funny. But it did, for me, get to a point where it was like, have we beat this fucking horse enough at this point? Like, we get it. We get what you're going for. It's still funny. And that the way that the movie references itself, like, it's kind of like the movie knows it's ridiculous, but it keeps itself in check by, like, basically punching itself in the face.
Yeah.
I really like that. I don't think I've seen... Like, I was trying to pick out another movie that was so... self-aware and like so just I can't pick out another movie that's like that movie. Like,
I don't know,
like
offhand at least.
I mean, I was actually sitting around trying to think about that. I was like, what other movies have been this self-aware? I mean, Deadpool, but it's like, you know, everyone in the movie kind of knew what was going on as far as the inside joke, but in Deadpool, he's the only one that really knows what's going on.
Yeah, like Deadpool's the only one in on the joke, whereas in this one, like, everyone's in on the joke.
Yeah,
and it's just silly comedy.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it very much. Will I watch it again in 2021? Probably not. But will I watch it again? Like, if you come over and you're like, let's watch this movie, definitely. Like,
it's kind of like what you said about Fright Night. If it was on TV or whatever, it'd be like, oh, I haven't seen this in a while. I'll sit and watch it.
That just, you know, different, like you said, different things that people are looking for in different movies. Fright Night's one of those handful of flicks that if I'm actually like going through and it's like on, you know, TBS, I'll stop and I'll watch it. As a matter of fact, we've got this thing in my house where I call them, what do I call it? trapdoor movies or trap movies. And for a while, my wife was like, she would go to bed and she would like surf through the channels and like movies that she knows that I have to stop and watch. She'll put them on. She wasn't doing it to be mean. She was doing it because this is a movie that my husband enjoys. So let me put it on the TV.
But now you're staying up late.
But now it's like I go to bed at like 10 o'clock. I'm supposed to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Rocky Horror's on, and I have to sit there and watch it. And then like 1 o'clock the movie goes off, and then I lay down. And then the next morning I've only had a couple hours of sleep and I'm grumpy. So it got to the point where it was kind of like, put some dumb shit on the TV when I'm coming to bed, please. So I'm not forced to sit there and watch it. Because the entire time I'm watching it, I'm like, you have to go to bed.
Yeah.
But they're about to get to the Rocky song.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just one of those things. But yes, no, thank you for suggesting it. I really, really dug it. I can't wait to see what your next suggestion is.
Well, now I've got to rack my brain, think of things I have seen that you haven't seen, which you have definitely seen more movies than me. And only like in this year am I trying to go back and fill a lot of my holes in my like movie knowledge. Like only this year did I watch the Nightmare on Elm Street series and like the Child's Play series, and like so all that stuff is new to me. And going back and looking at it and go, oh okay. I mean, it's popular, but it's fine.
Okay, I just have a question. This has nothing to do with Josie and the Pussycats, but you watched all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies?
Yes.
What was your favorite?
Dream Warriors, the third one.
Such a good Super Freddy. I fucking love that movie. All right, I was so hoping you would say that. Yeah, the second movie is
And
like
I'd probably make people angry, in that the remake, I like it better than the original.
the remake.
Yeah, not because of Freddy, but because the story takes itself more seriously and is a more scary. Freddy is scary in the remake. He's not really scary in the new one, but maybe that's because I had 30 years of Freddy being on TV, just as being the popular. Robert Englund is charismatic as Freddy, so you're not afraid of him. And then you'll go back and watch the movie, and you're like, oh, what's Freddy? He's fine.
See, I think that's what I like best about. Again, this is not a Freddy Krueger thing. It's really bad the tangents we get off of. But I think the thing I like about Freddy Krueger is he started out as scary,
yeah,
and then it was another one of those horror movies.
Then you get to like Freddy's Dead, where he's like dropping a bunch of pins because he like drilled the dude's hearing aids into his head or something like that.
And like they were up super, super loud, and like every pin was like destroying him. That's Freddy Krueger is just one of those guys where it's just like he's funny.
I think what made him stand out more was that you had like Leatherface and Jason and all these silent people, and then you had a guy with personality, and that made it kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah.
But
again,
not Josie.
Not a Nightmare on Elm Street review, Josie and the Pussycats. But no, I think we pretty much said everything that I can think to say about the movie. A lot of fun. To anybody that has not seen it, I'd recommend it. It was a good movie, as long as you don't mind being along for the ride.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to say, and we don't say it at the top of it. I don't remember if we said it in the other ones. Spoilers.
we did say it last time.
Yeah, but I mean, like any of the videos that you watch that we're in, just go ahead and just assume spoilers, because we're reviewing the movie. We're going to talk about it. Yeah. And I want to talk about stuff that's actually in the movie. I don't want to have to skirt around and make a boring ass review just because you don't want to talk about stuff. Josie and the Pussycats been out how long?
It's been out for a while, like 20 years maybe.
There are websites dedicated to streaming torrents that you could get for free. Like, there's no excuse other than I have no internet. But if you don't have internet, you're not watching this review most likely. So, anyways, we'll try to be better on the spoiler alerts when it comes to new movies.
Yeah.
And speaking of new movies, I figured we would go into another one of our subcategories for watching movies. Have you seen the movie? Is it Night Teeth?
Yes. Well, now I have.
Okay. Because I watched that too, because that was our homework. And I'd like to talk about that in the next review.
Sure.
And the only reason we picked it is because I was sure neither one of us had seen it, and it looked interesting. It was like #1 trending movie on Netflix at that point.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into it in the next video.
Yeah, but it was like, I guess that was I remember we were like, do we want to do a second recording this particular night? And you were like, yeah, we can, if we can find a movie that we haven't seen. And I literally just did a Hail Mary pass to Netflix and was looking at the same area. It was like, hey, have you watched Squid Game? And I was like, no, I have watched Squid Game. It was rather good. Let's see what they recommend for movies. Night Teeth. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it next time.
Okay, so...
Well, I've been your co-host, Nick, with my co-host, Lance.
Oh, yes, I'm Lance.
I left a pause for you to say anything, and you're just staring blankly.
I had a flashback. It was like an acid flashback.
All right. Well, thank you for watching Measure a Movie. If you liked the movie, or if you liked this review.
Do the things.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Let go into the comments below. Have you seen this movie?
No.
Did us talking about it make you want to see it?
No. I'm already aware I look like the fat love child of Marlon Brando and Ron Jeremy. You don't have to put that down in the comments. Just talk about the movie.
I mean, unless you want to talk about that.
Hey, they just don't have the penis to match. Let's see. Up here is the only place that actually does it. But
oh no.
But no, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Until then,
keep watching movies.
Yeah, do that.